Hello and welcome to another episode of Moonee Valley Voices, the local podcast where we shine a light on wonderful people in our community doing amazing things. And today I'm delighted to be joined by local businesswoman and financial educator Aneta Pazeski. Aneta is the founder of Bridesmaids Dressing Room in East Keilor and the mastermind behind Money Mastery for Women. Welcome to the podcast, Aneta.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. So you're pretty well known around the area, I would say.
I am
and
indeed.
we've met a few times at BNI, and there's always someone who seems to have an Aneta connection. So
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about your connection to the Moonee Valley? Did you grow up in the area, all that sort of stuff?
Okay, not a problem. No, I didn't grow up in the area. I'm actually a Canberran, born
there
and
you
bred
go.
Canberra girl.
Yeah.
I moved to Melbourne, but I've recently relocated my business to Keilor East, or recent but not recent, 2018. And we moved into the Keilor area. We moved into the Diner Parade Shopping Centre.
Yep.
So I've seen the whole area change and grow. It has traditionally been a strip of lots of little entrepreneurs. We're surrounded by hairdressers and nail places and massage places, and there's a gorgeous little cafe next door. So it is a hub of small business entrepreneurs in the area where we all support each other. So
Yep.
Keilor East is definitely home for Bridesmaids Dressing Room, but it's definitely a hub for all my entrepreneurial adventures.
Yeah, it's a great little section where you are. My in-laws live around the corner, so I spend a bit of time there, and cafe there is great as well. So are you just working in the area? Do you live in the area as well? Or?
I actually live in Carnley, so
Okay.
I'm not too far away. So
Yeah.
a true blue Westie.
Yeah.
And everything is in and around the area where I live and work. So
Perfect.
it's great.
And what was the thinking? You know, I think you said in 2018 you moved to the East Keilor area. What
Yes.
sort of brought you to East Keilor? Why did you find that was a good home?
For me, being a mum in business, obviously being married with 3 kids, there's juggling, family life and the commitments of being a wife, a mum and a sister and family member, all of those things. For me, it was around how can I juggle both my work life and my family life at the same time. So finding a place in Keilor was amazing because it's so close to home. It enabled me to be able to pop in and out and see clients on an as needs basis. So it was just handy to have something close to home.
Yeah. And so talk to me a little bit about the Bridesmaids Dressing Room.
Yes.
So you go out to clients as well as they come in, or
No,
or
it's by appointment.
By appointment,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And what sort of services do you offer
So
there?
we offer made-to-order bridesmaids dresses, as the name suggests, and we also dress mother of the brides as well. So any special occasions is what we do. And it came out of my history of actually designing and sewing clothing.
Oh, right.
And then it led into Bridesmaids Dressing Room.
Yeah. So what sort of clothes were you designing prior?
Wedding dresses, mother of the bride,
Yeah.
racewear. I used to compete in my Fashions and Fields a lot as
nice.
well. So there was a lot of different fashion that I did, a lot of evening wear.
Yeah.
So pretty much anything that was after 5 special occasions was my specialty.
Yep.
And then it kind of evolved into a very niche business called Bridesmaids Dressing Room.
Yeah, awesome. And was fashion always something that you wanted to do? Like,
Yes,
was that always
yes.
the goal?
Absolutely. So since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a fashion designer, but my well-meaning Macedonian parents said, you've got 3 options, become a doctor, a lawyer or an accountant.
Yes.
So I followed their well-meaning instructions and I became an accountant with a master in tax law of all things. So that's how my journey started in the corporate world.
Yeah. That probably has come in handy running your own business, I'd suspect.
It certainly has. So in retrospect, when I look back at my life journey, I believe that everything that happens in your life is actually destined to happen. And you can look back and say, yes, they've led me to who I am today. But all the stepping stones along the way have been very helpful to building a successful business.
Yeah. And the growth of Bridesmaids Dressing Room, how's that sort of grown over the last, since you've moved to East Keilor? Has it sort of grown in leaps and bounds?
It's been fabulous because we moved there on the presumption that the business would grow. And just as we moved and settled in, and then COVID kind of happened. But it was great to have a base to work from because it meant that I could do all of my social media, posts there and all of the content. And we've got a huge space that we can show all of the garments in the one space. And also with the growth of the business, meant that we had capacity to increase stock in the space as well.
Yeah.
And over COVID, we did like things like the click and collect, and we were marketing from the space via Zoom.
Yeah.
So it became like a multi-purpose space.
Yeah.
And the business has certainly grown also from a social media following, but by a referral basis as well, because being known in the area, and I've won lots of awards through the Australian Bridal Industry Awards, both in Victoria and nationally, and that's helped to expand the brand and just become known in the industry. And I think once you've been in an industry for a while, you become known as the go-to person. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The brides that come with their bridesmaids, those bridesmaids become future brides. So it's kind of like a self-referring business, which is great.
Because they've had such a great opportunity with you. There's no other place to really go, right?
That's right. So they have a good experience. And what's surprising is I launched an e-commerce click and buy store thinking, oh, this is going to be, quick way to make cash. But what I found that people really want that in-person experience.
Yeah.
So they still want the person to guide them, someone to get excited about their wedding just like they are, and that personal touch to give them some guidance to say, this will suit your body shape, this is better for you, or this colouring is better on your skin tone. So I think that's what's missing in today's society, that connection and that human sales ability and guidance.
Do you think COVID helped maybe bring a little bit of that back though? Particularly, we had the whole radius thing, you could only go, so you had to maybe look at vendors that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise considered. And I would maybe guess that in the bridal industry, a lot of these sort of boutique stores are all congregated in other areas of Melbourne. You sort of stand alone, really.
I do stand alone a little bit. But because of the nature of COVID and people were quite isolated, they couldn't do the things like bring all the girls together and have a celebration of finding, the perfect bridesmaids dresses. So it becomes almost like a little mini event that becomes part of their storytelling of the journey of wedding planning. So that in itself has been a real joy to be able to see that happiness and the fun that women have in the space. So, yeah.
And that must be one of the great parts of your business is obviously the whole bridal parties coming to your place. You get to see everyone sort of interacting, having fun, and I guess there's a lot of excitement in that pre-wedding period, and you get, you spend a lot of time with friends that maybe you won't get to until someone else gets married or whatever. So that must be a real pride of yours to be able to provide a space for that for your clients.
And I always say to people, I'm so blessed. I work in a happy business. So I make people smile, I make them feel good. And I always say to my clients, I'm brutally honest. I'll tell you if I think something doesn't suit you. And a lot of people really appreciate that honesty because we're not there to tell you, oh, you look amazing, when in reality you may not look that good. So, it's great.
Perfect. And so obviously now you also have the Money Mastery for women.
Yes.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the inspiration of that program and why you felt like that's something that's maybe needed?
Sure. So in my business, I found that women opened up to me a lot. I'm a little bit like the hairdresser or a counsellor in the sense that people quite often told me a lot of personal information and their personal struggles. And obviously wedding planning itself is a big chunk of a financial investment. And I found that a lot of women were either stressed and overwhelmed or really struggling financially in their lives. And I have a really solid financial background. I've got a corporate accounting career, and I did my CPA qualifications. And then following that, I did my master's in business administration. So I've got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to finance. And I found myself giving free coaching advice and advice to women as they would come through into the store, and even other people who were interested in starting businesses. They would say, how did you start the business? How did you get the funding? And so naturally it became almost like a platform to coach women. So I explored that a little bit further, and I developed the concept of the Money Mastery for Women program, which is a masterclass to teach women all about how they developed their money mindsets and how they can overcome any negative mindsets as well.
So talk to me a little bit about mindset when it comes to money and finances. So you're talking about people's like mental relationship with money, how they see income versus what goes out, like all that sort of stuff. Can you maybe break that down a little bit more for me?
So money mindset is something that we don't typically sit down and think, oh, what's my money mindset like? And what a lot of people don't understand is that the way that they behave with money and in relation to money actually stems from their childhood. So because we're conditioned from the ages of 0 to 8, when your brain is developing as a child, and all of those things that you hear from your parents and your family and their friends and society around you influences how you behave as an adult when it comes to money. So a lot of those money habits are formed from an early age, but they come back and haunt you when you're an adult, when you realise that you're stuck or feeling overwhelmed or really stressed out when it comes to money.
Yeah.
So it's about identifying what are those limitations, and often self-imposed limitations, and even identifying how you might be sabotaging yourself. Some women are overspenders when it comes to shopping, and other people are hoarders and they like to collect and buy things and leave the tags on and never wear them. So it's really about digging deep to identify where it is that you might be sabotaging yourself.
So this money mastery, is it for women in business? Is it just for women in general with their relationship with money? What's it sort of pitched?
It's open to obviously women in business, career women and women in general. But I naturally attract a lot of women in business because of my natural background and affiliation in business as well. So people love to learn from me from a business perspective, from my business coaching side of things, and also from the financial hat as well. But it is open to women who are either looking to start a business or grow a business, or might be in that transitional stage in a career that they may not love as much and looking to transition into starting a business as well. But it all comes down to having a belief in yourself and positive money mindset as well.
Yeah. And, we spoke, I see in the sort of the copy that you've put out for the event, you talk a lot about, many women feeling overwhelmed by financial stress. What's sort of, without giving everything away, I guess, but what's sort of the first step that you encourage women to take to of remove themselves from that feeling of overwhelm?
Absolutely. The first thing that I always encourage anyone is to come to a place of acceptance of where things are at right now, and to really dive deep into your spending patterns. And I encourage people to have a look at, how are you currently spending or investing money? What are the things that are working for you, and what are the things that you're negative in that you might be, without knowing, doing things that are not good for your long-term financial success. So simple things like backtracking, say, over the last 90 days or 3 months to see how much have you spent. What are your spending habits? Like, are you having way too many coffees a day? So you might have heard of the latte effect. If you add up how many coffees and how much they're costing you, these days, depending on the sort of milk that you choose and all the add-ons and extras, you could be paying anywhere between $8 to $10 for a coffee. So it's about identifying where are you spending your money, how are you spending your money, and is it really a conscious decision, or are you just tap and going throughout your life and not realising where that money is going?
So it's really sort of getting to a place of understanding so that you can take the steps you need to take to either build long-term wealth, whatever that sort of end goal is. It's about understanding what's happening now and what do we change moving forward to.
Absolutely.
How much do you spend in this masterclass around, the actual understanding the goals, or what people are looking to achieve as an outcome of this?
So the goals is an important piece of that as well. It all comes down to understanding your own personal values, and then based on your personal values, that will then drive what it is that you would want to achieve in your life, and setting financial goals around your personal goals and your personal values as well. So they're all interlinked, and it's different for everybody. And I do this class particularly for women because we're not taught this during our primary school years. We're not even taught it through our high school years. And then you go into uni and you specialise in a particular topic, and it kind of goes under the wayside. It's not considered to say, well, who taught me about money management? And if you haven't had a good mentor or upbringing when it comes to money, who's actually going to stop you in your tracks to go, hang on a sec, you're actually not planning your future financially wisely.
I'm sitting here as a guy and I'm, thinking of all the things that, maybe I could be a bit more accountable with as well. But this is obviously for women. Was it about, just creating a space maybe where women might feel a bit more comfortable opening up about these sort of things and in a network of, obviously women supporting women type environment?
That's right. And it's certainly not, a platform to be against men.
No.
But I feel like a lot of women, when they are together, feel more confident and comfortable to say, hand on heart, yes, I'm an overspender, or I've bought way too many, pairs of heels, or spending on activewear, or whatever their preferred spending habit might be.
Yeah.
But it's about creating a safe space where they can be honest and vulnerable and raw about what it is that's holding them back, or even like we've had tears in the masterclasses for women being honest about their association with money and how that's come about. And it's only looking at what maybe your dad taught you or what your mum taught you that you then go, oh, hang on, this belief's not even mine. This is my dad talking. This isn't even me. It's almost like we adopt these beliefs from our parents without ever questioning, is this how I want to operate?
And it's probably not even that they've explicitly taught you something, it's just what you've observed, right?
Correct.
And you've made your own assumptions about maybe why they did this or how they did a certain thing, right?
Yes.
So,
and the subconscious mind works in mysterious ways. So the more that we can see how we operate and build that awareness, then we can consciously say new affirmations or new beliefs that will override the old beliefs, and then you start living in a different way and you step into a new identity of who you'd like to be in the future.
So what are some of the common, mistakes, and I say this in a way that they might be actions or mistakes that people make based on what they, like we've sort of discussed, on what they've observed in the past. What are the sort of things that you see that can be addressed, and, what are the common things that you see when you're delivering these masterclasses?
Yeah. So the first thing that I see is that a lot of people put their head in the sand and they think that there's nothing wrong, I'm all good, the money's great. And then I've had women do the exercise where they reflect on 3 months' worth of spending, and they then come up to me and say, oh, my goodness, Aneta, you're not going to believe this. I actually spend more than I earn. So it's about that awakening moment for them to realise how bad their spending habits are. And I say this in the masterclass as well. One of the worst things invented was the tap and go, because we spend our lives tapping away without any sense of monitoring. And it's only when you come to pay the credit card bill at the end of the month that you might have a rude shock when you think, oh, I've been a bit frivolous with my spending this month. And that's where you really need to hone in on your expenditure and your habits. But another thing that I see that women are guilty of doing is just getting themselves into a place of overwhelm and stress and thinking that things are actually worse than what they are. Because they're not really looking at the numbers, and so hiding behind not taking the action. And another one is also not having a vision for the future and not having a plan of, say, an investment strategy or whether they'd like to buy an investment property in the future and what that looks like and what it takes to build up a deposit. So there's all of these financial considerations and everybody's situation is quite different.
Yeah. And I guess, like you say, that tap and go mentality, it's, because it's not the big ticket items where you have to actually stop, look at the invoice and think about how much you're spending on something. It's just the everyday stuff. It's done in a couple of seconds. And is that what you find really adds up for a lot of people?
It certainly does. And it's these hidden expenses, like I mentioned the coffees before. For somebody else, it might be the expensive smoothies or the lunches at work. And it all adds up and all very quickly. But there's so many simple strategies that you could say, okay, I'm only going to spoil myself to an outside lunch, at a cafe once a week. All the other days I'm going to be conscious to make a really nice healthy lunch from home and bring it into the office or your workspace, and being very conscious about why you're doing that, because if you have a bigger spending strategy and a saving strategy, you kind of look at both and say, these are my saving goals. In order to do that, I have to forego something. But being consciously aware of it.
And I guess it becomes easier if it's serving a greater purpose or a goal, right?
Yes.
It's not less about denying yourself, but earning maybe something in the future.
Yes, and some of the women that I've worked with have started new businesses, saved for cars, planning for holidays, and it's like they become awakened to these new goals that they see how it's achievable.
Perfect. I noticed manifestation is sort of plays a key role in what you deliver through the
Yes.
the master classes. Can you speak to what they are for people who don't really understand what they
Yes.
are, and why you think they're so important for people in actually achieving outcomes from what they learn at the masterclass?
Yes. So for me, manifestation is going back to childhood imaginative play. So imagine if it was all possible and if all your dreams could come true. And we talk about having a vision for your future and, doing things like vision boards and really honing in on what do you want, and understanding to answer that question. If I asked you, what do you want? And then breaking down the short term, the medium term, and the long term goals. And then from that, acting as if I'm already capable and I already have the funds, the skills, and the capability to achieve all of these things. So manifestation works by putting yourself in the future and acting as if it's already happened.
Right.
And training your brain on a continuous basis to teach it that you're grateful for the thing that's already in your life.
Yep.
So it's almost like tricking your brain,
Yep.
because when you're closing your eyes and imagining your future or something into existence, your brain doesn't actually know the difference between what you've imagined and what's real. So it brings it into your reality a lot quicker by using that power of manifestation.
No, fair.
And even simple things that I teach people about manifesting parking spots. Act as if that you'll have that VIP spot right at the front, and 9 times out of 10, you will find that perfect spot right at the front of your destination.
I'm laughing because I hate driving to High Point. Like if we're going anywhere like that, Mel's driving because she always gets the car park and I never do. And maybe it's this manifestation
So
thing.
she must be a master manifester.
She does that, yeah. Good trick.
Absolutely. And even with my children, they know. I said, okay, let's pray to the parking angels.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a spot right at the front.
Yeah.
And guaranteed it
always happens. Very good. All right, I have to be a bit more positive in that in that respect then. I noticed on the Eventbrite page for the Money Mastery for Women event, there's a lot of testimonials on there.
Yes.
About, from women who have attended the event and spoken to the fantastic experience they've had and the changes that it's brought about for them. I know we don't do these things for the praise, but when we do get them, is it a nice reminder of the value you're adding to these people's lives and I guess the importance of the what you're trying to achieve here?
Yeah, I have been so touched by the positive feedback from the women who've come to the masterclasses. It's been amazing to hear from women about how they've learned things from my masterclasses that they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And they were so grateful. I even had at the last event that I ran in Keilor, I had women who were accountants and financial advisors and lawyers, property agents. And I was thinking, why are they coming to my masterclass? Surely they know about this stuff. And even women who had degrees had never heard about some of the concepts that I speak about at the masterclass.
There you go.
They were like, wow, you went really deep with content that I'd never heard about before.
Yeah.
So I think there's always a lesson to be learnt, and it's about how somebody delivers it. And I share my own personal experiences and my own story and how I went from, corporate accounting into entrepreneurship. And now I feel like I'm at an age where I have years of wisdom and I didn't want to keep it dormant and leave it lying to myself. It's about how can I influence and impact and create a ripple effect to other women, because I've always been passionate about supporting women in business. And if I can do it as a mum with 3 kids and juggling home life, family life, keeping the husband happy and keeping the neighbours and the friends and everybody else happy, it's about that collective network of making your life good on multiple levels. And I talk about abundance in the sense that it's not just about money, it's about living a wealthy and rich life that means something to you.
Yeah. Now that you've walked that path, I guess, what were some of the things, now that you reflect on your journey from, that corporate world to entrepreneurship, what are 1 or 2 things you wish you'd known at the start of your entrepreneurial journey, when you made that jump?
I wish that I had somebody to say, start now, because I feel like I could have started a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Even with this Money Mastery course, I could have done this course 5-10 years ago with women. But you get to a point where you believe in yourself so much and you know your content so well.
Yeah.
Like now, being able to talk to you,
Yeah.
having a conversation about it, it comes so effortlessly and naturally because you've lived it and embodied it and executed on it.
Yeah.
So if I look back, it would be don't be afraid to take action. Get out there and be seen, be visible. And that's advice for anybody who's building a business or a career.
Yeah.
Be seen, be visible, be confident, and not from an arrogant way, but just be confident within your self-worth to say, I know this stuff. And I know that my knowledge and my wisdom can impact other people in a positive way.
Yeah. That imposter syndrome is so hard for a lot of people, men and women, to overcome. I mean, we do, obviously social media content, social media management for our clients. And sometimes just to get people confident enough to step in front of the camera and share some of their expertise and their knowledge.
Yes.
In the knowledge that in doing so we're educating our audience on what we're good at and why they should talk to us about solving whatever problems that they have. But it's a real struggle for a lot of people, and a lot of people are really good at what they do.
Yes.
But they just keep it to themselves, and
Yes. World's best
really,
kept secret.
really hard. You can't service and help people if they don't know what you do, where to find you, and all that sort of stuff. So on that note, I guess talk to me a little bit about the role social media's played in the growth of your both, I guess,
Both
aspects of your businesses. Yeah.
And it's funny because social media is something that I kind of evolved into, because when I first started my business, it wasn't a thing. And I had to train myself to be confident with the camera.
Yeah.
Even the girls that have done courses with me, they're like, you're the world's best selfie taker, because I've mastered the art of the angle and, how to get everybody in the background and all of that. But for me now, talking to the camera is like talking to my best friend or having a conversation with somebody like Matt that I know. It's about delivering a message and serving. So the biggest thing that I've learned is it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about how do I best serve somebody else, and whether that's in the eyes of a bride or in the eyes of somebody that's struggling financially, it's removing myself from the equation. And the minute you do that and you say, it's actually not about me, it makes that presence and being visible a lot easier to be seen and to be heard.
Yeah, perfect. So Money Mastery for Women's coming up in, I think, 2 weeks as we record this. We'll try and get this out ASAP. But how do people register? Where is it? How do they attend?
So it's being held in the evening on Tuesday, the 4th of March, and it's at the Whitten Oval at the Western Bulldogs ground. They've set up a beautiful new space called the Women's Empowerment Hub, which is all about supporting women. So I thought it was a perfect location to hold this event. And it's on level 3 up at that new setup, and you see the beautiful city views overlooking the oval. And it starts at 6:30 p.m. And the masterclass itself goes for 2 hours, and then we'll have a little bit of networking at the end. And they can register on the link on Eventbrite, and that can be found on my social media handle, Aneta Pazeski, or you can go to anetapazeski.com and you can find it there and just click and register. And if anything, bring along a friend, a colleague, a neighbour, family, whoever it is that you think might benefit. But as I said before, all ages and stages of life would benefit from understanding money mindset and how you can smash some of those old limiting beliefs and watch your dreams come true.
Perfect. So we'll include all the links in our episode description, etc. as well. We normally finish with what I call Valley Faves. So we just learn a little bit about maybe some of your favourite spots in the Moonee Valley.
Yes.
Normally I start with favourite cup of coffee or favourite cafe, but I think that's going to be a pretty easy one for you. So maybe you can give the cafe a bit of a plug.
Sure. So obviously my favourite cafe is One by One, which is my neighbouring little cafe nearby. But Poynton's in...
Oh, yeah, that's good. No one said that one yet.
There you
go. A good shout.
Poynton's at the Maribyrnong River is, I think, an undiscovered secret of Melbourne. It's one of my favourite places for a brekkie on a Sunday. I often go there with my children, and we've been there with families for gatherings as well. And you kind of pick up a plant on the way home or something from the nursery. But it's a beautiful location and always a good...
Actually surprised no one said that one yet, but yeah, that is a good one. Did you have a favourite night spot, dinner or for dinner or something in the Moonee Valley?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think I've always liked the boathouse as well because I love water and being anywhere near the water. So the boathouse is another favourite. So in and around that whole area is beautiful.
Perfect. And any other local hangouts that, again, maybe you think are underappreciated in the area?
I think Valley Lake, if no one's been down to actually see where that new cafe is down along that foreshore area. And just going for a walk in that hidden part of Valley Lake, seeing that stone that's cut out. It's kind of like you're in a little private zone in another part of the world that you wouldn't know about. So I'd say head down to Valley Lake and have a look at the space there.
Perfect. Well, Aneta, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a bit about your respective businesses and, just sharing some of your insights and wisdoms.
It's been an honour, and thank you, Matt, for having me on the show so quickly.
Too easy. Well, that's another episode of Moonee Valley Voices wrapped up. Thank you very much for tuning in, and be sure to check in next week for another episode. Thank you.